Thanks for staying with us now. How many parents remember growing up hearing too much television will rot your brain? How many of you here?
Well, it wasn't part of our conversation.
Well, it wasn't
TV
actually.
didn't start till 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So while too much of everything or anything can be bad for you, the real concern that parents should have regarding their child's use of technology is how it can impact their behavior. Now, technology is an ever-present part of our daily lives, and the amount of time we spend interacting with our personal technology devices is only increasing as we feel the need to stay connected. So as a result, it's nearly impossible to prevent our young children from also desiring these interactions. So it's our job as parents or caregivers to find the right ways for our children to interact with technology. And to do this, we need to understand the ways technology impact our children and how to encourage the right use of technology. Now, the goal is for tech to have a positive effect on their behavior and development, as opposed to the negative one. Now, first, what has been the impact of digitalization, and how can we ensure its outcome is positive? That's our conversation tonight. Now, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Tweet at us at WadeShow1 with the hashtag WadeShow, or you send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. We are the techie people here. Let me start with them. Jennifer and Uti.
It depends on which angle
Of the
you're
tech.
coming from. So if you're coming from the angle of mommy, yeah.
No, the techie people. I didn't say mommy.
Mommies are not techie. What you trying to say?
I don't understand. Please go
I'm
there.
techie. I'm techie.
You are a techie person.
Thank you.
So tell me, so let me put a bit of background to this conversation. Because I remember sharing that video, and all of you're doing like you did not see it, you were closing your eyes. The video of young girls that were posting pictures of X-rated stuff, like 8-year-olds on social media. So the conversation, yeah, it was traumatizing, I understand. The conversation was supposed to just be the impact of social media, but I mean, when we're having that conversation, it was best to just broaden it, because outside of even social media, like Elsie had mentioned, there's gaming. There's so many things that is in
learning
the
apps as well.
There are so many things that are intertwined when it comes to technology and the children of nowadays that we're raising. I mean, a friend of mine, we're having a conversation. He said he does not understand how a 2-year-old knows his phone more than him.
Yes.
I say yes.
Yes.
Because that's what they are born
They're
into.
digital natives.
And you see they are tiny.
Yes.
What interests me is the way they hold the tiny finger. And they'll be going like this. So let me hear.
You find it odd. I remember when we changed our TV. We went from having this huge, the big remote, to this tiny little thing that had maybe 2 or 3 buttons on it. And I started out the first couple of weeks, I'll come and I'll change the channel. I'm thinking, now I can limit what he's watching because I'm there. And then I think it was maybe a month later, on a Sunday, I said, I'm going to come and put on church. He says, no, mommy, I've already watched church. Excuse me? You did what? He said, I've watched church. And I was confused. So I thought clearly he's watched something, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yes.
But I went on to the history on YouTube, and there truly, whilst I was watching church, he had also watched his own church service. And I was looking at him, and I realized when we got to my friend's house, he picked up the remote too. The next thing he was doing, ping, 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 and I'm like, how do you kids understand these things? I mean, some of these things, I have to go and watch YouTube videos. I cannot to learn it. And then they just, till today, 20 odd videos later, I still can't use Snapchat. I can only use the filters, but I don't understand the interface that is Snapchat. But these kids, I mean, I haven't even bothered with TikTok. I can't.
No, I can't bother. I'm sorry.
So these kids are, like we said, they're digital natives. They're growing up with it. They're used to it. This is the thing, if you learn a language before you're 5, it comes naturally and all these things. But it does, with everything, there's the good side and the bad side.
Absolutely.
Any child under the age, and I know when I say this now, probably a lot of moms will roll their eyes, but children under 18 months shouldn't even be put in front of TVs. You can listen to sound and engage, but you really shouldn't, they shouldn't be looking at TV at that point. But what is the negative side of all of this? Because there are many, many positives. We can talk about the positives from here to now. But all those things you talked about, let's even leave social media, which is another monster by itself. But even if we talk about just TV, watching TV, first of all, TV is on demand now. In our time, TV didn't start
Was
till
limited.
4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. You
Yes.
sat down, you waited for
And
the
waited
dun,
for
dun,
the
dun,
line to
dun,
go
dun,
up.
dun, and you watched TV.
Exactly.
And pretty much by 7 o'clock, there was really nothing on TV as for a
Interesting
child,
anymore.
to watch. And then we've gone to 24-hour TV. Before it was DSTV, it was on 24 hours. Now it's on demand. Anytime you can watch, this is now not even, whatever is showing. Now you can watch whatever you like because it's on demand and they can watch it at any time. So the more technology evolves, the risk for children evolves because now the time we spent playing in the sun because TV wasn't on, that's gone. So the amount of activity is down.
Reduced.
In that time, we would read books. In that time, we would have conversations.
Exactly.
All those things are done. The problem with the visual medium is you don't need to engage your imagination. When we used to read books, I mean, we've watched so many movies here, when you read the book, it's so much richer.
Interesting. Yes.
When you then look at what you now watch on TV, the children don't need to engage their imagination anymore.
Because they've helped you to play it out.
Yes.
Exactly.
So when you think about the storytellers that we have of today, my question is, in the future, how will our kids tell stories? It will be so different. We're seeing the increase of issues like ADHD, attention deficit. Why? Because of all of this. There's no time for you to calm down. Literally, we're living bite-sized lives.
Yes.
Twitter is how many characters? Everything is, micro. Your brain is evolving in the same way. So now the concentration, this, what's it called? Attention span.
It's short.
It's shortening and shortening and shortening. So now, I mean, even with my son, and I can't, when he does it, I can't even be angry because I have the attention span of a gnat. Like if something flies by, I'm distracted. He's exactly the same. You're talking to him, and he's already like, I've heard you, I want to go. And it's getting worse. It's really getting worse.
Let me come to you, Isi. Let me come to you, Isi.
For me, basically, I think it's all about the mindset of the children, growing them and making them understand what social media is all about. When you're using technology, what it's all about. It can either be good or bad. And in the course of you doing this, you need to make them understand that it has its pros and cons. What are the pros? When you spend too much time on TV, when you watch too much, you play too much games, especially the boys. They like to play the gaming thing a lot. So when they're doing all of these, their mindset is already engrossed in something. Now we have the violent games that they also play. And it also plays a huge role on how their mindset is being groomed. Yes. So in this context, we need to understand that children we need to curtail what we expose them to. And the kind of games that they watch, they play, the kind of movies they watch, the kind of friends they make as well.
Okay,
it also has a huge role to play in this, because in the course of you interacting, Uti said something about the children having lack of social skills, basically. This is because they haven't been able to interact face to face. Mercy Johnson.
I was going to add something to what you're saying about gaming.
Yeah.
So the game Fortnite, because there's no mother that does not know Fortnite.
I haven't gotten there yet.
No way, you're not gotten there yet. You don't got there yet.
I've heard there's a few that I should know about.
So what Isi is saying, I want to help you so you can continue from there.
Okay.
So this game is supposed to be a game that is done like they are connected online. So your child
Like
is talking to a child in China, in the US, and they are playing it. So I now ask myself, because it's so fighting, blood, everything.
Every time.
My son had to, he can't sit down and defend them. He said, no, mommy, do you understand strategy? That you have to protect the person's back. You have to. So by the time he broke down the strategy behind the game, I understood it, but I'm still saying that. I was saying that, is it not too violent? Do you understand? Because there's so much shooting, killing, blood here, this. I said, no, don't forget about it. He was trying to negotiate that, forget about the violence, that it is the. So you saying this now, right? I'm just trying to ask you, you are a teacher now. You see it all the time with the children, in the classroom. So how do you think, a parent should approach things like that? Because it's not like they don't understand the strategy behind those kind of games.
They don't realize they're being desensitized to
yes.
violence. That's
So,
what it is.
so how do we do that?
That is where I was talking about, making them understand the pros and the cons. What are the pros and the cons? You are looking at someone, you know, back in the days, they used to give them guns and they say, oh, pishan, pishan,
Is
pishan.
what a gun?
That was then.
Hey, Oluwa.
They would say, don't hold the gun. But now they
pishan,
have live
pishan,
ammunition. And this live ammunition, they're enacting it in a video game. There was a movie I watched, I've forgotten the name of this movie, and this guy was, you know, he was a killer in the movie. But what did they do? They actually came and sought him out and actually put the guns in his hands. I don't know how they screwed it into his hands, and he started to shoot. He had to defend himself. People were watching it happen, thinking it was a game, but in actual fact, they were killing people. So now, these children now try to visualize it. How will they be able to do this?
And now practicalize it.
And this could lead to a lot of mental illness in the future.
Okay, let me come to Jennifer.
Okay, so I understand the whole protection around kids, but as mothers or as parents, I really want to ask, at what age do you think that your kids should start watching TV? Now, I know my sister doesn't allow her kids watch Nigerian movies or American movies or anything. They only watch cartoons. Now, she has even restricted it. There are some certain cartoon channels that she doesn't allow them watch. She doesn't allow them watch Nickelodeon. Because then when I was younger, Nickelodeon used to be, it used to be safer. It used to be, how do I put it, child-proof, basically. So you're watching things like Ginger, you're watching, there's this cartoon called Egghead, I mean Football Head, they call him Football Head, I can't remember his name. Those are the things we used to watch, Rugrats and the rest, Teletubbies and all of that. Those are the things that you used to watch. Yeah, those are the things you used to watch them. Even Powerpuff Girls, if you actually sit down and think about it, it was actually very violent. Now, those things, now when you go on Nickelodeon, you find out that they don't exactly show those cartoons anymore. Now they show teenagers. Now you see teenagers that insult their parents. You see teenagers who flaunt the rules.
Rebellious,
yeah, who are very rebellious. And you see little kids are coming home, oh, mommy, I have a boyfriend, or I have a girlfriend. And child, you are just 14. Why do you have a boyfriend? So my sister had to restrict her kids from watching things like that. She probably puts on Jim Jam and some other cartoons where they just have to sing and all of that. Sometimes she's probably in the kitchen and then she will hear a sound. Her son has changed it from Jim Jam to a very violent channel. And she will come, why? She said, dude, that one is not interesting. And I was just looking at her and I was like, how have you been able to manage this? How have you been able to protect your kids from things like this? She said she tries her best, but there's really so much that you can do.
So little.
But now I'm so little sorry that you can do. Now I'm putting it out there to the mothers that hear.
Let me say, because I want to even slightly switch to what EC said. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember that game, that video game that went viral. That the end game, which was for you to commit suicide. I think it happened. Was it in Europe or something? Like that they were killing it. They were committing suicide. It was a game, you know. But it happened real time. That year, I can't remember what it was until they found it out and they were able to start, you know, banning the children. Yeah, banning the children from watching. Now the question is, as technology is evolving, you know, because you're asking the question about what the right age is, shouldn't the conversation be, how do we control the source to which some of these things are being produced? Because you really can't stop a child that is born in this age not to be introduced to something at a very young age. Now, even to pacify your baby at 2 months, you put him in front of a television. Do you understand? So should we not go to where we can control the narrative? You know, let me come to you.
Trying to control it. It's again, you're talking about a global village. As much as people, again, if you talk to, there was a video that went viral, maybe about 2 years ago. I think it was sometime in 2019, of a couple who said they have all the net nanny, they have all the setup to protect what their daughter sees, and then they realized that halfway through a YouTube video, so people had uploaded videos and they had all sorts of things in the
In it.
videos. And then this one was even different because I think if I remember that story correctly,
When they
there
were
were
watching.
ads she was, yes, when they were watching, they wouldn't see it, but then
Yes.
she would see it.
Yes.
So to try and even tackle the source is like saying that you want to eradicate crime. It's almost impossible. People will find a way around it. But, you know, you still have a little bit of control. So what your sister is doing, for instance, when you're at home, she only turned her back for a few minutes. She's only gone to the kitchen and the child has gone back to watching these channels. And this is one of the things that I've seen. I compared an event on Sunday, which was a children's book launch. And there were lots of kids there and some very unruly kids. And I said to the lady, my friend who wrote the book, I said, oh, this child is very unruly. And she said, oh, no, he's my son's, my friend's son. If his mom was here, she would be, you know, she would. And I said, look, it's one thing to tell your child, stop it. It's one thing to smack your child. It's another thing to get your child to understand why that thing is wrong. Exactly. It doesn't mean that you will completely 100% eradicate it. But your child, if it is something that, and then people always start, you know, babies growing up, they say, oh, leave him as a child. Then it's when the problem is setting, then you think he's old enough to understand, by then the problem is setting. You have to start from day one. I remember that my sister used to tell me, when my niece was a baby, when she was breastfeeding, when she would bite her, she would tap her hand like this, so that she would know, she wouldn't smile, so that she would know that she'd done something wrong. It's not so much as just correction, but the fact that the children need to understand what you're trying to protect them from.
Exactly.
Because you just say, stop it, or don't watch it, it's not good for you. But the child doesn't understand this.
You know what, let's take a break.
Yes.
You know, let's take a break. We'll be right back. We'll also open our phone line. Stay with us.